Now, earlier in the year, I posted a video on Majestic Aquariums TV saying that you could ask me any question and I will answer it for you. So that's what I'll do now. So the questions that I have right now in this video. First of all, lovely Mrs. Walker says, "Thanks for sharing your extensive experience, Paul. Great channel." That's the sort of question I like. Easy to answer. Now, Daniel Smith says, "What water treatment / buffers would you need to keep shell dwellers like Neolamprologus multifasciatus in Sydney?" Now, when I keep, and I've bred those particular fish, I use a water ager, such as Prime, if you're going to do a large water change, or I tend to use Easy Life if I'm doing a small water change. And then I use the Aquapix brand for my ones. So Aquapix have got a African cichlid buffer that I use, and they also have an African cichlid salt / general hardener that I use. Now, Lachlan said, "Minimum size tank for a small eel to have for a couple of months." The good old "I'll just have it for a couple of months" story. I'll just have it for a couple of months, a couple of years later, you've still got it. So, depending on what sort of eel we're talking about, I would be suggesting that you get a spiny eel, beautiful little animal, and he can be kept in a 60-litre aquarium for a couple of months. As he grows, I'd probably want to see him in more like a 200-litre aquarium, but it's a great choice for an eel. Now, Tom said, "Yeah, I think you have the knowledge and skills for YouTube to promote if you go down this path." Okay, thanks, Tom. Ross Fishy said, "Can we see more of the Maori wrasse?" Well, you definitely can see more of the Maori wrasse, Ross, because I've since posted heaps of videos of the Maori wrasse. I love my Maori wrasse if you haven't seen it. And Mr. Ferris says, "Paul, mate, what's going on with your hair?" Well, there's nothing going on with my hair. Never has been, never will be. When I was older, when I was younger, I had really long hair. When I thought I was a rock star, got old, realised I wasn't. The problem was not enough people knew. Anyway, I'm not exactly a groomer. I just get up, put stuff on, and go out and clean fish tanks and clean ponds. I don't actually spend much time worrying about my hair. But thanks for noticing. Get good value out of my haircuts though, because I often don't cut my hair for like 6 months. Now, Party Poison says, "My question, I'm wanting to set up a 6x2x2 and a 6x2x1 on a rack. What is the best way to plumb them and to run from the same sump silently and without taking up any space behind the tanks? Would it be silly to have a bottom drain animal flowing?" You see, I'm not too much of a reader, and it's not too clear here. I hope my description is not too confusing. I think your description was fine. I just got sort of bored reading it. If you actually want an answer to that question, then do up some drawings for me of what you want to do and email paul@majesticaquariums.com.au. I'll have a look at the drawings and then I'll comment for you. Now, Convi says, with the products and equipment that are available today, what would be your proven go-to setup in terms of equipment, method, and products be for a successful system. Thanks for your continued comments to the hobby and commitment to the hobby and the channel, Paul. I would also love to see you document and set up a mixed reef from the start to finish on how to deal with the teething problems. Well, I sort of do that all the time. Maybe it's not as structured as you'd like, but here at Majestic Aquariums, we have a lot of setups. Several we're setting up right now, and then I have a lot of tanks that I do maintain. So there's many tanks that if you actually watch the channel, you really will see that. You'll see us starting the tank. You'll see us progress the tank. You'll see any problems we have with the tank, because I am quite forthcoming in disclosing the trials and tribulations of the tanks that I'm involved in. So when I'm having a problem, I don't mind sharing what we've stuffed up and how we're fixing it. So I do have a lot of that. So in regards to what products are available for a proven setup, well, if you sent me an email, paul@majesticaquariums.com.au, with what you were hoping to achieve, I'm really happy to give you suggestions. But I'm involved with a lot of different brands and do a lot of different stuff, so there's no real one thing. When will you be getting Marine Pure back in stock? And when are you buying a Telecaster? That was from Brian Hiscock. I probably never buy a Telecaster. I do have Marine Pure back. I didn't know that I never had it. I normally have it. I don't ever remember not having it, but anyway. Now, I'm a bit of a Les Paul man. Talking about guitars at the moment. The reason why I wanted a Les Paul is because I started playing guitar when I was about 12, and my name was Paul. So it just seemed to make sense that I'd get a Les Paul. And from the mind of a 12-year-old, that makes perfect sense. Just like Paul's hamburgers are my favourite hamburgers, and Paul's ice creams is my favourite ice cream. That makes sense to a 12-year-old. And to be honest, I couldn't even spell Telecaster now. When I was 12, I couldn't have read that and gone, oh, I want to get a Telecaster. Yeah, suppose I could have, but it just made sense. My name's Paul, get a Les Paul. So I play a Les Paul. Vaki says, what is your opinion on the two-striped damsel when compared to other damsels? Yeah, they're just I just think they're an average damsel. So they can be aggressive, can be territorial. If you get a troublesome one, trade it in. Yeah, I just think that they're easy to keep, just can be a bit of a bugger. Okay, B and Birds says, I just got my new 21-litre tank with 2 comet goldfish, and after having them for a day, the water turned cloudy. What should I do? Get a bigger tank would be a real good start. You don't really have any information about whether you've got a filter or anything like that on it. So I think you've got all sorts of troubles there, Birds. Feel free to contact us at Majestic Aquariums if you want help. Send us a video of what you got. But I think you're in all sorts of trouble. You may as well have a reef shark. All right, Yoshi, my friend Yoshi. Paul, how to combat coral disease infection would be helpful. I've been having issues with SBS coral. I've stopped dosing carbon. Well, a couple of things is the better quality your water, the less likely you're going to have coral issues. If you're having coral issues, then quarantining your corals first is not a bad idea. But with issues like that, I do find that Easy Life really helps. I will heavily dose my coral tanks with Easy Life. Easy Life gives the water a type positive charge, just seems to help with those sorts of things. I'll also tend to dip my corals in Revive, particularly if I'm concerned about them. The other thing that I do tend to use a little bit is hydrogen peroxide. So there are a lot of things we can do to combat coral disease, and I do have quite a few videos on all this stuff on my channel. Anyway, feel free to talk to me next time, Yoshi. Now, Raymond says, love your videos, been watching them for years. I've always had a million questions. I feel like you're a wealth of knowledge, but normally don't ask. But what to do if your copper band butterfly fish eats at the store when you're buying it, but you bring it home and they don't want to eat? And how many do you recommend getting? Are they better in pairs? Yeah, I definitely think copper band butterflies are good in pairs, because when I'm diving and I see a copper band butterfly, they really seem to freak out and try to find each other. So I don't think they're good by themselves. Obviously, figuring out what they're eating in the shop and getting what they're eating in the shop is good. Seeing them eat in the shop, so you're not just believing some bullcrap artist salesman, is a good idea too. And then make sure that when you're introducing them, you want to introduce them into salinity lower than your salinity. That tends to help me. I'm having trouble with my eyes at the moment. I've been out servicing fish tanks all day. But anyway, Forrest says, what would be a simple shark tank filtration? What would be a simple nano SPS tank setup? Got some worlds apart here. It depends what sort of sharks we're talking about, but for sharks, I want to get a nice big protein skimmer for removing the urea. I want to get plenty of marine pure balls because I want to make sure I've got a good capacity for parallel nitrifying and denitrifying bacteria. And I want to use a good pre-filter material, like polyfilter. What would be simple nano SPS tank setup? Really good lights, really good water flow, and then basically the same filtration as I just said for the shark tank on a small scale. And I really prefer using dosing pumps on my SPS tanks. If I'm not dosing, I tend to fail. Sophia says, hi Paul, can you explain redox potential? Also relevant, but what are your thoughts on Rottweilers? Irrelevant. Okay, I think Rottweilers are great dogs, and if you're going to get a dog and you've got space, then get a real dog. A lot of people get dogs that look like more like a fashion accessory. I think Rottweilers are awesome dogs. They've got great personalities. They can be used as a guard dog. A big fan of them. Bit slobbery though. Not a dog person myself, but I do like Rottweilers. I think they're great dogs. In regards to redox potential, so redox potential can be measured in millivolts, and it's basically milli equivalents, millivolts, and then so it's basically the reduction of the oxidization and reduction. So basically it's how fast can your bacteria work. So if there's good redox in the water, it would tend to mean that your water's healthy, that your oxygen levels are high, and that means your bacteria can work really fast. And once again, that can be measured. Whereas if your redox potential is slow, that means your bacteria is working very slow. So in general, you want to have a higher redox tank. Now, if you're actually using redox, as in pumping redox itself into the aquarium, then that you can use that to increase your redox potential, or you can just read the redox potential as it is. Personally, I don't really use it. I've been through phases of using it, but I'm currently in a don't use it phase. But if it works for you, good. A lot of people use it in commercial applications, but you got to watch out for residual ozone. So if you are putting ozone in to increase your redox, then if it does get into your fish tank, it can kill your fish. And it's not too fun. Now we've got, next question is from Maxwell, and he says, green neon tetras, can they be bred in captivity? I have absolutely no experience breeding green neon tetras in captivity. I imagine it's possible, but I have no experience with it. Blondie says, is it okay to put pH buffer and safe in at the same time? Yes, I do it all the time, and yes, it is safe. Never done it, as I was worried about creating bad reactions and blowing up the world. She didn't actually say the bit about blowing up the world, but no bad reactions. However, I am curious if it's actually possible without hurting the fish. No, you're not going to hurt the fish. You're not going to hurt yourself. Everything's fine. Call Me Nemo says, any plans in the future to expand your business to other cities? No way. No. Way too much work. I get someone every year want to franchise this business, and I sit down with them and take it seriously. I've never found anyone that I actually believe could do what I do. And if they could do what I do, they're probably doing what I do. So no. If anything, I'd probably make it smaller, because our break even here is about $2 million a year, and you got to work so hard to turn over $2 million worth of fish a year. So yeah, I would get a smaller shop. This one's too big. Any plans to sell coral frags? Yeah, we sell lots of coral frags. Any plans to do them? What you see is what you get. I'd really have to have the right staff to do that, because that's really labour intensive. I just don't seem to have enough good people around to do what I need to do. Okay, Sasha says, I have a question. My tank unfortunately got ick. I'm going fishless. I have 2 invertebrates, fire shrimps, scarlet skunk cleaner. All my fish died due to itch. Is a planted marine tank, no corals, just live rock, various dragon breath. How long does it take to get rid of ick? Okay, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get rid of ick. Now, just review the 8 principles. Go to this channel, Majestic Aquariums TV, and there are basically 8 rules, and you will find that you've just broken one of those rules. So white spot, most of my customers really don't have much problem with white spot, but when they do have trouble with white spot, they've either bought a crap fish, they've put the fish in more regularly than once a month, or they've put them into higher salinity. You really want to buy your fish and put them into lower salinity to ease osmotic pressure. Check out the 8 principles, and white spot really shouldn't be a problem. Also, look at my views on Murphy's Law. Regent's Reef Aquarium says, what is your go-to steps when handling small marine fish and Acropora SPS corals to make sure they are free of pests? Well, for me, in the industry, I just be real careful who I buy off. So I just try and make sure that I'm buying off suppliers like Cairns Marine, because I just don't seem to get much trouble with that. And as a hobbyist, basically quarantining is the key. Being real careful who you buy off, and then quarantining. Now, Stephen PFC says, can you show a video of your home aquarium, please? Okay, I will do that. Right now, to be honest, I just moved into a new house, and right now I've actually only got a fighting fish in a bowl. And you know what? I really like my fighting fish in a bowl. I talk to him every morning, and I do basically nothing to look after him, and he has quite a lot of value to me. I really like him. I've got a little piece of polyfilter in there, got a little bit of Anubias growing in there. It's no maintenance, none, and I really like him. Josh, good old Josh Ratcliffe, says, can you do a video on how to set up a nano tank? Josh, I've got lots of videos on that. Feel free to email me and I'll send you links to them. Steve Lewis says, do you use GFO? And if you do, when do you use it? In general, no, I don't. I used to use it a lot, but it's due to price and various reasons. I tend to just use phosphate remover, like Phoscorex. And so in some of my tanks at the shop, I do actually use GFO, but I tend to use Phoscorex on a dosing pump. That's probably the phase I'm in at the moment. But I do go through GFO phases. So it does work. I do like it, but I'm probably in a bit of a Phoscorex phase right now. Paulos says, when will you upgrade your shark tank? Yes, well, I do have plans to upgrade my shark tank, but when is a matter of money. Because when I built my shark tank, I had a budget of $20,000. I knew that the budget was bullcrap, but that's what I told myself. I reckon I spent about $120,000. So when I go to build another shark tank, it has to be bigger. And I'll probably then have a budget of $150,000 because I know the last one cost me $120,000. And so therefore, if I have a budget of $150,000, it's probably going to cost me $300,000. But I don't have that sort of money. So I would like to, I think I will, but I can't afford it. Now, Maxwell says, Norman's Lampi Killie, have you bred them? Thoughts, tank mates? No, haven't bred them. I have bred Killies in the past, but no, can't help you too much there. Jeremy says, a video on a planted tank guide would be nice. Okay, well, I think I've got lots of videos like that, Jeremy. Hector's Reef, can I feed my tangs nothing but New Life Spectrum, or do I have to also include nori in their diet? No, you do not have to include nori in your diet. I have had very healthy, very thriving tanks that are fed only New Life Spectrum, and the fish are beautiful. So no, you do not need to. Maxwell says, best Corydoras to breed. What size tank? How many in a breeding group? Now, the only Corydoras I've ever bred were Peppids. And I had about 6 of them, and I had marbles on the bottom of the tank, and they used to run around scattering eggs over the marbles. I don't actually ever remember successfully growing up the babies, because I don't think I really had the time or patience, but I have had babies, so I have actually bred them, whatever that means. So I'd say at least 6 in a group, and they'll tear around the bottom, bumping into each other. Good luck with that. Tom says, I have a crab with little paddles on its feet. Though he looked cool, thought he looked cool, but when I got home, he just wants to bury himself in the sand all day, and by night wants to attempt to jump out of the tank into my bed. Okay. Well, it's good to know that somebody wants to jump into your bed, Tom, because yeah, it's good that something does. Anyway, just take that as a compliment. Erotic fantasies aside, I really don't want this little guy. Alright, well, I'm sure many people have had those thoughts about me. He wants to jump in my bed and I don't want him. Is it weird to try and bring him back to the LFS? No, it's not weird. Bring him back, that's a good thing. Maybe they won't want to have water mixing in their system or something. Just ask them, Tom. Is it normal to ask for something cheaper in exchange? Yeah, that's pretty normal. Give it a crack, Tom. See how you go. Isn't it now fishing and outdoor Sam? Isn't owning a Queensland groper illegal? Technically no, because a Queensland groper is illegal in some states and not in other states. So it would depend whether a groper was collected for whether it is legal or not. Now, I have a Queensland groper and I can't be sure anything about it because a customer came in with a bucket and said, I've had this fish in my tank for many years and it's grown too big for my tank. Can you look after it? I said, sure. I put it in the tank, and since then it's grown into this massive monster that is my Queensland groper, my giant groper. So, anyway, I might do this again sometime. Put a little comment on the bottom of this video. Did you enjoy listening to me ramble on for over 20 minutes? Or did you think it was a complete waste of time? Let me know. If you're still listening to this part of the video, I'm really impressed. And if I didn't answer your question properly, because I'm pretty tired and just couldn't be bothered, I'm sort of, then feel free to email me, paul@majesticaquariums.com.au, and I will answer your question properly. And if I didn't answer any of the questions that you wish I answered properly, then send us an email. I'm very, very happy to help you out. And anyway, I'm off to Macna now. Going to get in the plane soon and head over to Las Vegas to make lots of cool videos for you guys. So stay tuned to the channel, Majestic Aquariums TV, and you will see lots of crazy stuff coming from Macna 2018. Anyway, thanks again for all your support. Thank you very much for watching the channel. Thanks for your continued involvement and comments and likes and shares. I definitely don't do it for that. I do it because I like it. A lot of people do ask me, why do you make YouTube videos? And the only answer is that I like making YouTube videos. And a lot of people give me advice on how shit my YouTube videos are. I could do this and I could do that and I could do that, and yeah, I know. But to be honest, the main reason why I do it is because I like watching them. And I sit there on the toilet every now and then and look at old videos and reminisce about old tanks. And I like looking at tanks that I look after and seeing how they've developed. I like looking at old display tanks in the shop. I like looking at how tanks have come along, because all those tanks on all these videos, a lot of them mean a lot to me. I look at them and I remember that tank, and I remember what was going on with that tank or what was involved with that tank, and I just like looking at the videos. It's definitely not that I like looking at myself. It's not that I don't like looking at myself, but that's why most of the videos I'm not in them. Got more of a head for radio, I've been told. So anyway, Paul Talbot signing out. It's probably the longest video I've ever made in my life. Alright, I'm going to sleep.